come with me if you want to live. Now, while it does seem like a cheesy one-liner, especially from a Terminator series, it is not just an homage. It's actually going to be the theme throughout the entire Ms. Marvel series. You want to stick around to see how. We're also going to discuss a lot more along the way. Check it out. Now, cue the intro. Hey everybody, welcome back to Pun Fun, where we have fun with the puns. My name is Ryan, and we're going to check out episode 4 of the Marvel series, Ms. Marvel. If you haven't yet seen episode 4 of the series, Ms. Marvel, please be sure to do so, as there are major spoiler alerts ahead. We're going to get into why it was very important to shine some light on the fact that they went to Karachi. We're also going to, mention how the MCU version of Ms. Marvel derails from the comic book source material, and actually everything else for that matter. We're also going to get into the both clans. So we have the Clandestines, we also have the Red Dagger. But what does this ultimately mean for Ms. Marvel? Why is she implicated, as deeply besides her heritage? And how does this actually tie into the, Captain Marvel series, or the Marvels, if you will, going further along? And we're also going to talk about a few Easter eggs, like I've mentioned before with the Terminator. Again, that was not some clickbait. There's actually some heavy elements that really do showcase why and how they've been very, heavily inspired, and I'm really glad they shine some light on the Terminator series. First of all, we're going to shine some light on how the writers cleverly, brought them towards Karachi, not only for some of her roots, and again, this whole thing's about an origin story, while it is kind of very heavy on the exposition, rather than, carrying the plot along, because, there's only 2 more episodes left. I feel it's going to feel kind of rushed, closing it all up. We're going to see how they do it, but there's a lot of elements to understand along the way. So right now we both have the clans. We have the Clandestines, as we've mentioned, and the Red Daggers. The Red Daggers is kind of, standing up for humanity, saying, hey, this is a realm that we want to keep and make sure that it stays intact, whereas the Clandestines not only want to return back to where they came from, but they want to overlap. So if you've seen Mortal Kombat, they want to overtake this realm and basically, bring basically the Negaverse onto here. So it is not a alternate universe, because it could have lived, it could have coexisted next to each other, whereas here it's really overlapping one over the other. The MCU hasn't really been clear on this element. They've only really mentioned different universes and possibilities. Now we're going into overlapping, realms, which I thought was a cool element to tie in, especially, Phase 4 being about all of the possibilities and locations, really, and even our characters going beyond and out of your regular, USA. So some of you have probably noticed the Ms. Marvel that within the comic books is definitely different, especially not only just the powers, but also her origin stories altogether, even getting her costume, and even Bruno. Who knows, maybe Bruno might end up being the inventor along the way, driven by, jealousy and, his love for cockatoos. But it's a whole different take, especially with the whole time travel element added on. But what we need to take away from this is that the Phase 4 has made it very clear that whatever is happening within the MCU world, there's always an element within the real world. And in this case, we're getting a history lesson. So in this case, it's the 1947 partition back in India. And, there was a clash of both, India and Pakistan. And in this case, we have another, clash of the clans, which is in this case, the Clandestines versus the Red Daggers, or humans, if you will. You definitely want to take the Red Dagger with a grain of salt. They're not as, as nice as they seem to be. Again, things may change. Anybody who wants to call and predict anything for this series at the moment, we can only know so much, only because they've really, again, derailed from the source material. Also, speaking of duality, you have Captain Marvel and you also have Ms. Marvel. So Ms. Marvel right now is fighting, or trying to figure out where does she stand in between a fight for 2 races, which is the Clandestines and the Red Daggers, whereas Captain Marvel had the same kind of element, being thrown into the same kind of ring, where she had to fight either for the Kree or for the Skrulls. Again, it wasn't clear cut, and we kind of had that twist. So who is the right, who is the wrong? Obviously, we want to keep this realm intact, but is there a way to preserve or save the other realm? I think that's going to be more important going forward. Is this going to be maybe where they may have to unite both, bracelets from the Ms. Marvel series, and maybe also the 10 rings, which ultimately can also be, and this is obviously a theory because again, even those derailed from what its actual source material, because there was a beacon within the 10 rings. It could be that, you know, you kind of have to like accumulate all of the armor to, you know, become this like super cool, I don't know, superhero, or maybe to call upon an older spirit, who may in the end be able to take that, you know, universe or realm and create it, you know, make it its own universe, or I don't know. Well, we'll see along the way, but I'm sure it's not just coincidental that we saw the 10 rings, you know, in the 3rd episode, and that there's a beacon, and that, you know, there's a one side missing. It could be that it was just refashioned and had, you know, 10 pieces made. Anyways, pretty intense to see that 18 now stands in between the fight of both realms. It's pretty crazy, but again, that's what Carol Denver had to go through. Hopefully these powers are just as cosmic as she hopes it will be, and we hopefully see what's to come, especially with only 2 episodes left. Will this set up ultimately to the Miss Marvel series? I mean, there's quite a gap between now and when Miss Marvel's was meant to be, you know, put out. So we're gonna see how they're gonna fill that in between, and if both stories actually do mishmash, if we do get to see Monica Rambeau or somebody actually, you know, give a little cameo maybe at the end. So there is a clear difference with the credit scene where usually it was in New Jersey. Now we have it in Karachi, which kind of still has the same stylized, you know, effect. However, now we're seeing elements from the issues inspired for these, you know, recent episodes. So for example, having her you know, backpack and go into Karachi, that was actually a book that she kind of takes a complete, you know, stress-free vacation. She's like, you know what, I'm gonna go to Karachi, and she actually did it, and that's where she meets Red Dagger. And there is a QR code. So also speaking about the QR code that you find in the photo booth, obviously you have the photographer, you know, giving a little hustle, just like in the Terminator series, where Sarah Connor, you know, takes the photo and drives off into the sunset. There's also another nod, which was the one-liner we had mentioned previously. So it got me thinking, like, why would they be so heavily homaging this franchise in particular? Well, I mean, you do have 2 races that are, you know, in conflict. So you have us, you know, the people, and then you also have, you know, the robots, or in this case the Clandestines, to prevent Judgment Day, right? So will this be the end, you know, of the series where she does actually succeed and ending Judgment Day, or is this where it's leading up to via, you know, a bigger, you know, Judgment Day, which would be with Kang, and is this where the other you know, Marvels would have to come in? Because there's also a series called Judgment Day. I mean, what a coincidence, that came out recently. It was actually available for the Free Comic Book Day back in May. So while people are discrediting Miss Marvel for being a kind of like a teen show, I mean, there's so much elements and important elements going forward to what's actually going to happen moving forward. And I'm hoping people will actually climb on board, or at least understand that, oh yeah, I need to watch this. Kind of like the What If. No one really like gave the fart. I mean, I enjoyed it, but some of them people weren't, you know, down for it until they actually saw, like, oh wow, we saw the trailer for Multiverse Madness, and there's, you know, similarities to it, and they actually, you know, had to see it or went to see it. So I'm hoping they give it Miss Marvel a second chance for that reason. So other than that, we also get to see Ant-Man being very, you know, present throughout the series. Again, she may ultimately have to become, you know, a giant or bigger self of, you know, of herself, which we always see at the end credits. At all times, you know, she's always this like giant, I guess, chalk drawing of herself. And lastly, we have our 2, you know, our love triangle, as it's very popular, I guess, with any teen series or Bollywood series. So now you have Karim, and you also have Kareem, and you also have Kamala. And either way you ship it, I mean, it still gives Kamala, right? Like if you were to do a Brangelina type thing. So which team are you for? I mean, I don't even know if that's still a thing, but are you team Kareem, or are you team Karim? So yeah, put in the comments below which one would you ship. But yeah, I mean, who do you think she's actually going to end up, you know, saving or helping along the way? One side obviously is for the bad guys, wink wink, you know, quote unquote, but he's actually trying to save her, and the other one has been trying to save her from ever since. So in the comments below, what do you think? What team are you for? Are you maybe still Team Jacob? Put that in the comments below. And yeah, I definitely want to hear from you. Have you enjoyed this Miss Marvel series so far? Are you excited for the last 2 episodes to come? What did you think about it? Especially the actress who's from Canada, and there's actually a nod made within the show, which I thought was cool. So, you know, go local. Also, speaking of local, we're going to have the Montreal Comic Con coming up, not this week, but the following week, so you can definitely catch us there. And also, we're going to check out a few of the artists that, make and create these crazy, beautiful comic books. One of which is Morgan's Organ. So you have Daniel Brody, which was our past episode. You definitely want to check it out. And yeah, we're going to have more artists on our show as we usually do. And if you've enjoyed this episode, we definitely suggest you hit that like button. If it's your first time or if you haven't yet, you definitely want to check out the subscribe button. Go ahead and click that. This way you stay on top of anything and all things comic book related, but also comic book creator related. And definitely show your support. Definitely excited for where this is all going. Seeing the Karachi and their ways, and also the Lanny and everything. Definitely struck a chord. Again, big things are gonna happen. 2 episodes left. Super excited. Take it easy, guys. Peace.